BB851, turn right, heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Aviation News Weekly. Thank you so much for the absolutely incredible support you continue to show on these videos. Not only is it astonishing, but it's very much appreciated. As always, if there's a particular topic that you want to skip to, there's going to be a pinned comment with timestamps for each story, so feel free to either watch all of the video or go forward or go back at your own pace via that pinned comment. We begin today with a topic that was actually going to get its own video, but sadly due to scheduling issues was pushed into this Aviation News Weekly. The Canadian aviation industry has been making some huge moves in recent days. We most recently saw Onyx purchase WestJet, and now we're seeing Air Canada announce that it has entered into an exclusive agreement with Air Transat, another major Canadian carrier, to pursue a combination of the two companies. The purchase of all outstanding Transit AT shares will be roughly valued at $13 a share. This is in comparison to the $31 a share for WestJet. This is still very much subject to regulatory and shareholder approval, as well as final documentation. However, similar to once again other deals which have seen companies combine and/or aircraft types being transferred over to other manufacturers, we still have to wait for that final approval before we can completely say that the deal is indeed closed. The proposed transaction has been valued at $520 million and is something that Air Canada has the necessary funding to do, and this deal will help Montreal become a base for global travel that'll specialise in luxury across Canada and also into international destinations. The Air Canada Chief Executive and also President said, "The acquisition presents a unique opportunity to compete with the very best in the world when it comes to leisure travel. It will also allow us to further grow our hub at Montreal Airport, where we have added 35 new routes since 2012 to the benefit of the Montreal and Quebec communities, and from which we carried 10 million customers in 2018 alone." Air Transat operates to just over 60 destinations and was indeed founded in 1986. The airline most recently welcomed on the Airbus A321LR, which I covered in my last Aviation News Weekly. You can definitely check that out if you have missed any of the stories that I've covered. This A321LR will actually help replace its aging Airbus A310s and help take the airline forward in the coming decades. With the A321 Neo also on order, that particular aircraft type will further help revolutionise their narrow-body family with Airbus. The President and Chief Executive further discussed the benefits of this deal by adding, "A combination with Transit represents a great opportunity for stakeholders of both companies. This includes the shareholders of both Transit and Air Canada, employees of both companies who will benefit from increased job security and growth prospects, and Canadian travellers who will indeed benefit from the merged company's enhanced ability to participate as a leader in the highly competitive leisure travel market globally." At this stage, while the release has been announced, we really cannot expect any further announcements or updates until the signature of the agreements are finally completed. Following on from an update to last week's video that I didn't get to include in that particular video covering the Boeing 737 MAX, I thought I'd go over to Boeing's official press release, which does indeed say that Boeing has completed their 737 MAX software fix. The fix was updated following the 737 MAX flying with the updated MCAS software for more than 360 hours on 207 flights. However, of course, this wasn't actually done in the air, rather with a flight simulator. Boeing is indeed currently in talks with the Federal Aviation Administration, or more simply FAA, in regards to requesting more detail on how pilots will be interacting with airplane controls in the future. Boeing and the FAA are working hard to get everything right so that the 737 MAX can safely return to the skies as soon as possible. The Boeing President and Chief Executive said, "With safety as our clear priority, we have completed all of the engineering test flights for the software update and are preparing for the final certification flight." Adding, "We're committed to providing the FAA and global regulators all the information they need and to getting it right. We're making clear and steady progress and are confident that the 737 MAX with updated MCAS software will be one of the safest airplanes ever to fly. The accidents have only intensified our commitment to our values, including safety, quality, and integrity, because we know lives depend on what we do. Boeing wants the 737 MAX to be safe again and is now already taking the steps to ensure that they can rebuild their brand after it's taken a hit in recent months, especially following the events of ET302. Now, despite this software fix being completed, a lot of the general public are still very standoffish and will not be flying Boeing in the near future. When I say near future, that is because I and many others do expect this to kind of boil over in the coming years, or even in the next 6 months, with many going back to their regular lives, forgetting about the 737 MAX and hopping on it when they go on holiday or for a business trip. Last week, we also saw the first Japan Airlines Airbus A350 take to the skies in what was a big moment for Airbus and also Japan Airlines, as this is the first Airbus-built aircraft to fly with the carrier. It's so special that there's actually a decal located towards the end of the aircraft that does have A350 on it. As the aircraft is now taken to the skies for the very first time, it'll enter the final phase of production, where the new fancy seats and more will indeed be installed as part of the cabin completion phase. This is the first of 31 A350 XWBs for the airline, with the order being made up of 18 A350-900s and a further 13 A350-1000s. That is the longer variant of the A350 series, and you could actually get it confused with the Boeing 777 if you're new to the aviation industry. Pretty much the main difference between the A350-900 though and the A350-1000 is the insane length of the Dash 1000. In fact, it looks pretty cool to say the least. In the past week, though, British Airways also revealed more routes for their up-and-coming Airbus A350-1000 that I'm definitely hoping to get on at some point. We know that the airline will already be sending the type to Dubai and also Toronto come October, and these will be the first 2 routes. The A350-1000, though, also comes equipped with this brand new Club World suite, which has been a hit for many so far, including myself. However, ignoring the product on board the Airbus A350-1000, from December 1st, this aircraft will fly from London to Tel Aviv. From January 1st of 2020, the A350 will then be put on a London to Bangalore service. These flights will indeed be daily and will operate as BA 163, 162, and BA 119, 118, respectively. Air Italy is an up-and-coming carrier that holds the ambition to eventually become the leading airline within Italy, and the carrier for Italian people. In recent days, though, they announced plans to adjust their order for the Boeing 787. It was actually expected that this type would take them forward in future years. However, they've now gone back on these plans. Air Italy had planned to welcome in 20 to 30 Dreamliners in a short space of time to boost their operations and more, but have now announced that they'll be sticking with the Airbus A330 instead. These A330s are all currently being leased from Qatar Airways. As they're not going to be taking on the 787, these 5 and potentially in the future more A330s still really won't be enough, and won't equal the capacity that they had hoped for when the Boeing 787s would arrive. The decision as to why the airline is sticking with the Airbus A330 is because of the consistency with the product, and also just how easy it is for them in the future to be operating the one type rather than, say, a multiple. This is actually a trend we're seeing more and more carriers move towards. Airlines are favouring streamlining over having multiple different types of aircraft in their fleet. Now, we've definitely seen the likes of Delta, United, American Airlines, even Etihad Airways have a number of types. However, a lot of these carriers are planning for the future and want to make a change. This is because we've seen so many airlines collapse over recent years. While it's definitely not always been down to the fleet complexity, airlines want to make sure that they have the most fuel-efficient aircraft for the future of their operations, so they can stay in this really, really costly industry, which has seen so many airlines not being able to keep up with the pace. Sticking with the A330 series, specifically this time the A330 Neo, we finally also saw on the 7th of May the first Delta A330 Neo take to the skies in what was a great moment for the pair. This will be the first of many A330 Neos for Delta, with 35 of the type currently on order. The airline has opted for the Dash 900 over the Dash 800, which can carry more passengers. With the Rolls-Royce Trent 7000 engines attached, it'll be used to further boost Delta's operations and also work alongside the A350, which already flies with them. The first flight is, as mentioned, a big moment for the pair, as it was previously looking likely that the delivery would be delayed even longer following the partial government shutdown that did indeed prevent aircraft deliveries in January of this year. And that's going to conclude another one of these lengthy aviation news weeklies. If you have any thoughts on any of the stories I covered, let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for your continued support. I do very much appreciate it, and look forward to you all joining me in either the next Aviation News Weekly or my next regular video, which will indeed be out tomorrow.